Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Ian with Out of This World Reader, and I've got my April TBR for you today. Before I go into any of my picks, I just want to say that this is very flexible, like the month of March. I set a kind of a TBR and very rarely followed it, except for those series, so this is going to be somewhat similar in those aspects. And another thing that I plan on including for, I guess until I get through all these books that I bought through COVID, is kind of this book of mysteries that's got just a blend of different genres of romance, fantasy, sci-fi, mystery, thrillers. It's got it all, and they were all books that I just binge buyed when COVID and I was stuck at home. I just felt like I needed every single book that I could get my hands on, and I felt like I haven't got to a lot of those, so I really need to get to these before I buy any new books, even though I kind of bought more books already. But I plan on including this book of mysteries, where each month I'll kind of select two random ones out of it, and then I kind of want to read those and kind of make a punishment should I not get to them. But in general, I'm really excited about this month because we're kind of somewhat on the second spring break for school. They did some weird thing where they split it up. Split it up. Like it was like 3 or 4 days a couple months ago, or at like February, and then now they're giving us a second spring break with like another 4 days. So it's like weird because of COVID and everything. They're kind of just splitting up our spring break. So I won't have that much school reading. So I'm hoping I'll get to some good books this month, and I'll be starting some new series. Sadly, I finished a couple this month, but you know what that means? We just start some new great ones. So let's just jump right into these books. So I'm going to start with that book of mysteries here. So in this box, got all the different picks that I've kind of got all over these bookshelves. So I'm just going to shake it up and pick two out at random. So the first pick out of the book of mysteries is A World Without Heroes, which is the first book in the Beyonders series. And the second pick is House Made of Dawn, which I believe is a classic. So I've been meaning to get to more classics, so I guess the book of mysteries just knew what I needed. Both of these I really don't have any idea about them. I think I've had Beyonders since like I was in second grade of kind of grade school. So it's got a little blurb from Rick Riordan, and he's one of my favorite authors. So I guess we'll see how that goes. It's not that big. It should be a good time. And then this one I have no idea either. It's the winner of the Pulitzer Prize, so that must mean it's good. So hopefully both these random picks just provide me with some good reads. In the month of March, I really didn't get to much thrillers or mysteries, and that kind of made me sad a little bit because they're always one of my I just like all genres, but I always like picking up something that kind of makes me think and gets my heart beating a little bit. And with March, I felt like I just got to a bunch of fantasy. So I figured I need to get back on track with Ruth, where we have a very complicated relationship. I really liked, which one was it? The Turn of the Key and the woman in Cabin 10, but like not the Lying Game. In a Dark Wood, I absolutely kind of hated that book. And One by One, it wasn't so bad, but I'm still on the fence with it. So she's 2-2 right now. And I've heard that this book is one of her best ones. So I really want to get to The Death of Miss Westaway this month sometime. The only things I really know about this is that this kind of girl receives a letter saying that her supposed grandma, has died and has left kind of some inheritance for her, and she goes to this somewhat meeting at the kind of residence, and all the other family members there are kind of questioning her. So other than that, I have no idea. We'll pretty much be going in blind, and I always love that about kind of getting into mystery thrillers, is just not knowing a thing. The next one I currently don't have yet, but it is being released this month, and that is Flamefall, which is the second book in the Fireborn series by Rosaria Mundra. To be honest, this was probably my most anticipated release of the year. I had read Fireborn last year. It's kind of a dragon-centered fantasy, I believe YA adult fantasy, that's kind of surrounded around the events of the Russian Revolution, and we're following two different characters, Annie and Lee, who are kind of like grew up together basically, and you learn more about their past. But in the first one, it really ended like just on a cliffhanger, and I just loved every second that I spent with it. It had dragons in it, and you know me, I just love a good book with some dragons in it. And then it has a training academy and a competition where Annie and Lee kind of compete against each other to become the Fireborn and I believe the Fireborn, and just the leader of the dragon kind of fleet of the whole empire. But that being said, I love the first one so much, 5 stars, that I just felt like I had to pre-order, and it's going to be coming out. I believe it releases March 24th, so this is currently, I'm filming this before April and before the release date, but I'm just waiting for it to just arrive at my door. So as soon as it comes here, I'm probably going to just dive right in, because I just got to know what happens to my characters, you know? Gotta know what goes on. This next one really needs no explanation to it. I have sadly never read the series or watched any of the movies, and that is I'm finally going to be starting with Harry Potter, with the first book being The Sorcerer's Stone. A friend of mine at work has been really getting on to me about just starting the series, and I figured, like, I have really nothing to lose. I just didn't have any of the books, and since I kind of got a little bit of an extra money with my last paycheck, I just went ahead and bought the whole series, because that's how much I think I'm going to love it. I mean, it's got magic and a magic school, mystical creatures, everything. So I just guarantee that I'm going to have a good time. And this month I'll also be starting a new series, the Darker Shades, or just the Shades of Magic series by V.E. Schwab, and that first book is a darker shade of magic. I have no idea what's going on. The only things I know is that it kind of involves magicians in 3 different Londons, and each London kind of has its own characteristics and perspectives, so we'll see where that goes from there. But magicians and London, 2 of my favorite things. Put them together, and you got a good book. But this is a popular series by V.E. Schwab, and I read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue last year, and I absolutely loved that book, so I just put 2 and 2 together. If I like that, must like this, so we'll see where it goes from there. This month I also want to get to another most anticipated release, and that is Bloodsworn, which is the second book in the Ashlords duology, I believe, by Scott Reintgen. The first one, Ashlords, really gave me vibes of Wolf by Wolf and the Hunger Games. It's kind of following 3 different perspectives, each in a different kind of component of the empire. One being on the side of kind of the rebels of the whole kind of story, one being from the empire that kind of rules the whole place, rules the whole kind of world that they live in, and then another is kind of just a kind of average Joe, and they each kind of enter into these race where these phoenixes, they ride these phoenixes that they raise at the beginning of each day with the sun, and they just race them, and that's where I got like the Wolf by Wolf kind of aspects. And then the Hunger Games is there basically kind of no rules, like there's kind of some rules, but they're not very strict about them, and like contestants have died in this, and there's definitely other things at play, larger things at play that you'll discover throughout the series. And the first one ended with yet another cliffhanger, and the new book just came out in March, so I'm hoping to get to it as soon as possible. Now, finishing the Hunger Games trilogy this month, I figured I gotta read the prequel. I mean, everyone, if you don't know, there's a lot of controversy behind it. Some people liked it, but the majority of people absolutely hated it. And I figured since I already got it on my bookshelf, I would get to A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. Like I mentioned, this is the prequel following President Snow's perspective several years in the past, which is a character that I absolutely hate in the trilogy. I really hope that I enjoy this, but from what I've seen and heard, I'm going in with an open mindset and kind of some high hopes, but I don't think I don't think we're gonna connect with this book at all. This is a book that I hope to do a buddy read with Luke's Room, another great booktuber that I recommend you go check out. But he had mentioned kind of doing this as a buddy read, so see where that goes. We can maybe kind of give our different perspectives on it, because I'm sure we might have different thoughts on it, and it's always good to just get a different opinion on it. And the last two in this very flexible kind of TBR is The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin or Circe by Madeline Miller. It was just so hard to choose between these two. I had picked these two to read in the month of March, and unfortunately I didn't have the time to get to them. So I figured I might as well just throw them into the plans because they both sound so intriguing to me. I guess they're both fantasy and kind of historical retellings, one of them being a historical retelling. So Greek mythology, New York City, it's got all I need, so I just couldn't choose between one, so I just threw them both in the plans. Why not? The book gods will choose for me. They will lead me in the right direction. I will just pick them up, whatever I'm feeling, and they can't ever be wrong if you know what I mean. But those are all the books I kind of plan to get to in the month of, or plan anyway. I always say plan, but this is so flexible that I kind of just go on a whim and just whatever I'm feeling I pick up. But these are some books that I really hope to get to soon. With not as much school reading to do, I think I'm going to get to a lot of great new reads and new series. And I'm just hoping that this month is just as good as March, which you'll find out soon. But I want to thank you for watching this video. I'll make sure to leave some links to some other videos that I make sure you check out. Don't forget to head over to my social media where I'll be posting some bookish content that you won't find here. And as Ellie always says, adventure is out there. So I'm going to catch you next time. Bye.